it's a scary thing leaving the security of the corporate world and just going out on your own. So even though we had been flipping houses for, a couple of years before that point, it was still scary to leave that security behind and decide to do that full time. But he went first, and then I followed maybe a year later. I didn't last too much longer. And then we were both full time and never went back after that. So it's been a fun, interesting journey.
If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button and click subscribe. For those of you listening on a podcast platform, be sure to subscribe on whatever platform that is and leave us a rating if you can. The more likes, ratings, and subscriptions that we get, the more we can spread the message and grow our community. So we also have a free Facebook group. It's called the Average Joe Finances Network. Check us out, join the group, join the community, ask questions, and become a part of the team. All of our other social media accounts are listed in our flow page, and we have them in the video or podcast description below.
All right. Hey, how's it going, everybody? So today we have with us Melissa Johnson, and Melissa's been flipping houses in San Antonio, Texas since 2003. That's just a year after I joined the Navy. So that's a long time. So she's been growing and expanding the business into a thriving real estate investment operation with close to 1,000 real estate transactions under her belt. She's also built a portfolio of rental properties and real estate notes while raising 5 children. She provides coaching, support, and education for other high-level real estate investors nationwide. She enjoys giving back to the REI community by hosting the E3 podcast for women and the More, M-O-R-E, Moms of Real Estate podcast, as well as running the San Antonio Invest Her meetup group. As an active member of the Forbes Council on Real Estate and National Association of Women's Business Owners, she is dedicated to the success and empowerment of women in business. Wow, what a background, Melissa. Absolutely excited and stoked to have you on today.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So I want to start this off the same way I start every interview off. And that's, I want to know, besides the background that I just gave, I'd like to know a little bit more about you. And if you could you share your story? Like, how'd you get started in all this?
Sure. So, again, like the bio said, 2003, I was working for a defense contractor, actually, to the Air Force, working the cubicle life, doing like security clearances and accounting stuff for the contract that we were dealing with the Air Force. And it was a good job, but it wasn't like a fun, like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life kind of job. So at the time, I was dating someone. We later ended up getting married, but his father was flipping houses, and I didn't know anything about real estate. I was kind of interested in it like a long time before, about maybe being an agent, but that I didn't ever pursue that. I was just kind of focused on my bookkeeping and that sort of work that I was doing. So he was flipping houses, and he had started as a contractor. Then he took on a mentor, started flipping houses, and we were having conversations with him, and we were seeing this amazing life that he was having. So it was more the lifestyle that sold me on going down this road. He had a really nice RV, and they would take off and go traveling and go places, and just had this life that just seemed really, really fulfilling. And I thought that was very attractive, just being able to have a life like that. And so we decided to just kind of jump in and start doing it. So we were still working, both of us full time at our jobs while doing real estate. And we actually did that for several years before he ended up getting laid off. He got laid off about two weeks before our wedding. So that was kind of scary. But then it was actually like the perfect moment, because we had been wanting to make that transition. But, it's a scary thing leaving the security of the corporate world and just going out on your own. So even though we had been flipping houses for, a couple of years before that point, it was still scary to leave that security behind and decide to do that full time. But he went first, and then I followed maybe a year later. I didn't last too much longer. And then we were both full time and never went back after that. So it's been a fun, interesting journey.
Yeah. And what a way to get started. So I take notes as we're going, and some of the things I wrote down is, you guys continued to work your full-time jobs when you first got into real estate, and, talking about the transition, because I'm getting ready to do this soon myself, right? I'm retiring from the Navy soon, and I'm going to be full-time into real estate investing, also as a realtor, and then doing my podcast and everything full-time. I'm really excited about it. But what was like I guess one of the main barriers that held you back? Because, it took a couple of years before you finally made that transition. So what do you think was the one thing that was, I guess maybe in the back of your head? I know you said something about the security that you had, right, while working those jobs. Was that like the main thing? Was there anything else that was, kind of stopping you guys from just fully going all in?
Yeah, I think if you boil it down to its most basic, I think it was just fear, honestly. It was that fear of leaving that security behind. It was the fear of, not having a retirement plan per se anymore. It was a fear of knowing that we were totally responsible for the success or failure of that business. And, it was completely on us to make it work so we could feed our family and, keep a roof over our heads and things like that. So, because we both had, I wasn't making like that great of money, but he was making good money. And, it's just scary to walk away from that. But, it was, although now that I look back, I'm like, why were we scared? We had done several transactions at that point. We knew we could do it, but I really think it was just a fear rooted in that loss of that security blanket.
Right on. And now when you say transactions, what are you talking about? Are you talking about wholesaling a home, flipping a home? What are these transactions you're talking about?
So when we first started, we were primarily just rehabbers. That was our mentor was a rehabber. Both of our mentors were both heavy into rehabbing and buying rental properties and doing owner finance notes, creating owner finance notes. So those three strategies were the first three strategies that we really embraced and implemented in our business. So lots of flipping. And then with our mentor, we called it tit for tat. So like we would do a house, we would find the property, we would fix it up, we would sell it on owner financing. And then the mentor would take that note, but then the next property we would keep that note. So it was a nice mixture of a few different exit strategies. And then wholesaling came into the picture later. But primarily, it was a lot of just rehabbing in the beginning.
Okay. And this is while you both were still working and everything. So you still had that security blanket of the jobs. And now I know you said you weren't making much, right? But the thing is you had that steady income that you knew what you were getting, right? So it's not like what you were doing with the real estate where, it can vary depending on the deal and how the numbers work out. So yeah, I totally understand that. I want to kind of circle back to what, one of the things you said in the beginning when you were looking at, what was it? You said your father-in-law that was, or at the time your boyfriend's father, right? So you were seeing like how what he was doing in real estate. And one of the things I wrote down here is that, you want to live a fulfilling life, right? And I just want to ask you, so since you've been doing this for a while now, do you feel like you're living a fulfilling life?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I love my life. And I've really embraced building a lifestyle business. I really, and I encourage, I do a lot of coaching now, and I encourage, clients to do that as well. It doesn't have to be some monstrous machine. You don't have to do, hundreds of transactions unless you want to. And I think it's fine for people that want to. I'm just more focused on families first for me. And I love being able to have this type of work that I can do where I can take my kids to school every day. I pick them up every single day. I can go to all of their sporting events and, extracurricular activities, or if they're sick, I can go pick them up and take care of them. If I need to take a day off because I just don't feel like working, then I can, and I tell you, I'm grateful for it every day.
That's fantastic. Stuff like this is what like really hypes me up and gets me super excited for when I retire from the Navy and I can do this too myself. Like, the way I looked at it is, the entire time I've been, the whole focus has been around my career and everything. And, when I retire, I want to build my schedule around what my family's doing, not, based off what I want to do, but based off of what, my family's doing, and just to get that, more of that time back and time with them. So, that fulfilling life and building like you said, a lifestyle business. I love it. Absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
So, okay. Now when you said when you guys first got started, you started off as rehabbers, right? And then you did investment notes as well, or you did notes on the real estate as well.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So are you still doing that, or did you completely change your strategy? Because you've been doing this now for 18, almost 19 years. So what's the current strategy you're going with now?
So currently I'm actually flipping again. And this is one of those things that's very easy to talk about, having done this for a long time. There are times, the market changes, right? Like I've been through so many different cycles of things, and it's really, really important to understand the different exit strategies and when to deploy those exit strategies, depending on what's going on in the market. So, a few years ago, wholesaling was really good, and it's still good. Like it's still definitely part of our strategy. I don't leave behind any of those strategies. I just know when to use them. And so, the wholesaling was really good. I mean, we wholesaled heavily, like 2014 till about 2018, 2019 even. And we were still, we never stopped flipping. We were still flipping, but it was more advantageous to us to go more heavy into the wholesaling. So at that point, I started cherry picking rehabs instead, which is really nice. But now, because the market is so hot, there's low inventory, properties are just flying. Like this is a great time to be a rehabber. So if you have that skill set, and you can get a property quickly, rehab it, and get it on the market, you're going to make your money back.
Yeah, right on. So at this point, are you still doing any wholesaling at all, or is it just strictly rehabbing and flipping?
And I'm still wholesaling too. For me, it depends on the deal. So I'm very, I know what my criteria are for each of these exit strategies that I do. And so when you have that figured out, it makes it very easy for when a lead comes in to say, okay, it goes in this bucket, it goes in this bucket, it goes in the wholesaling bucket, it goes in the rehab bucket, and it's all based on criteria that we have really honed over the last few years.
Okay. So since you have that criteria, that was actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you too, which is awesome, is like, how do you figure out whether or not you'll renovate and flip a property or wholesale it? So you've got your set criteria, like you said, like your buckets of criteria, right? Mm-hmm. And you can just move them around depending on the deal, how the numbers work. So out of like renovating and flipping and wholesaling, which do you like better? Which is more easy for you guys to do? Or is it just all the same because you have your built-in processes?
Yeah, it's kind of all the same. It really just boils down to like personal preference on the project. Sometimes, for flipping, like if for a wholesale, I like wholesaling because once you have that system in place, it's very easy, to do, but you got to have the systems and you got to have people to help with that, because it is, kind of a high touch thing, but it's not as intense as doing a full on flip. There's so many moving parts with all that, you're managing a lot more people and everything. So there's a lot more to the flipping part. What I like about the flipping though, is that one, just for me personally, I enjoy the transformation. And it's just like, that's just something about me. I enjoy taking an ugly house and making it beautiful again. I enjoy that process. Do I like dealing with contractors all the time? Not really. But if you have good contractors, it definitely makes it easier. And I do have that. I've been very blessed to have a very good contractor. We've had a relationship for years. And so he honestly makes that job a lot easier. And for wholesaling, we've got that so dialed in now that I literally don't have to do anything when I wholesale a property. I've got all the people and the processes in place. So I'm very hands off with the wholesaling. I'm more hands on with the flipping.
Right on. So some of the things that I wrote down as you were talking, you have your criteria, you have your systems, you have your people, and then also the relationships that you have with those people. So, and by people, when I say that, I'm talking about you've built teams, right? So which team you're going to use depending on how this deal is going to go. And one of the important things that you put out there too, which I think needs to stick out to everybody, is one word that you said, and that was relationships, right? You have that relationship with your contractor for however many years now. And, he knows what he's getting into when he gets, on a deal that you guys are working, because he's done it so many times. You guys have built this rapport. So that's fantastic. And I think that's where a lot of people sometimes get lost is, they want to try to jump into a deal right away and then build a team afterwards. And that's where you can run into some trouble. So
yeah, I can't stress how important relationships are in this industry.
Yeah. Have those systems in place.
Yeah. You've got to have those relationships. It's important. I can't even tell you how important it is because you can't wear all the hats all the time. You can't do everything.
You'll bite off more than you can chew. So, okay. Now you guys are doing this. Is it strictly in San Antonio or have you branched out elsewhere?
So I have stayed in San Antonio, and I get that question a lot. People asking, well, are you going to go into other markets? And one of my core values actually is keep it simple. And so for me, it's easier for me just to stay in my market. And I would honestly I have given that a lot of thought because I have thought about going into other markets, but then I think, well, it feels complicated, even though I know it doesn't have to be. I know I could build systems and processes in a team somewhere else, but I really like, and I think there's value to being the master of your market and really understand, I know this town, even though I'm not from here, I've been here long enough and done enough deals in this town to understand everything about this town. I know where I want to have rental properties. I know where I want to have owner finance notes. I know where I want to rehab. I know where all the boundaries are. There's a lot of value and a lot of things to really understand about the market that you're in. What are the areas of town that have low days on market? Where are people buying? Where are people rehabbing? Where does your marketing work best in different parts of town? There's a lot to understanding your market. And once you figure those things out, and a lot of it just comes with experience and time, but once you figure those things out, it can help make your business a lot more successful than trying to go figure all this out for every different market that you go into. There's so many layers to dig into in the market that you're in. And that's where I choose to be.
Wow. That's great. So for everybody that's listening, stay out of San Antonio. That is Melissa's market. But no, so you have it locked down, right? So you know exactly where you want to have your rental properties. And like you said, you also know where you want your owner finance notes and then where you're going to wholesale or flip. So you've got that pretty targeted and locked in. So I want to talk about some of the other things that you're doing, besides flipping and wholesaling. And you had mentioned this in the beginning and also just now too, but the owner finance notes and rental properties. So, do you have a similar process in place for, when you're going to take on a note and when you're going to take on a rental property? And are your rental properties strictly single family or small multifamily, or are you investing in larger multifamily properties?
Yeah. So for the rental properties, I'm really focused on just single family. Not to say I wouldn't move into multifamily at some point. I know that's kind of the next step, but I like the single family stuff. And that's just what I choose to do. And then as far as the owner financing goes, that has its own process too. But really for those, it really comes down to criteria. You know, if I'm going to do either one of those deals, it just has to meet the criteria. And it's been a little harder to get those lately just because of the way I like to structure things. I like to structure things where I've got a very short-term loan on something and then carrying, like for the owner finance stuff, you know, I'll do a very short-term loan and then I'll sell it though on a full 30-year note. So I won't really cash flow too much at the beginning, but once I'm not losing money, you know, I'm breaking even and creating a little bit of cash flow, but I'm okay with that because I know that in the long term, once I'm done with my 5-year, you know, loan, I've got 25 more years of interest and payments coming to me free and clear.
That kind of makes it, you know, it's kind of like a slow, like a time bomb, right? That after that 5 years clear and then boom, you know, you get the rest of that 25 years on that note. So, and you're creating that. I mean, that right there is truly passive. It's something you don't really have to mess with. They pay their note and you sit back and you collect your interest. So,
exactly. Get a note servicer, make sure you're escrowing for taxes and insurance. And yeah, I mean, that truly is the most hands-free thing that I do in my business.
That's really awesome that, you know, with what you're doing with real estate. And like you said, you've got these different buckets and, you know, you've got so many different exit strategies based off of how you're investing. And with the notes, that's amazing because, you know, that's truly passive income. You're, you know, the first 5 years, you're not really getting too much. It's like a slow time bomb. And then all of a sudden, boom, for the next 25 years, it's just a passive, you know, cash flow coming into you. So I want to ask you something else too. And, you know, besides real estate, you know, you're doing the investment notes, you've got rentals, you're doing wholesaling, you're flipping properties. Are there any other asset classes that you invest in, such as, stocks, any cryptocurrencies, anything like that?
Let's take a brief moment to hear from our show sponsors.
What's going on, everybody? So today I want to talk to you about Wealth Tender. If you are a finance content creator, whether that's a blog, a podcast, you're a financial advisor or a financial coach, I highly recommend you check out Wealth Tender. Wealth Tender is building a database of all the top finance blogs, podcasts, and the financial advisors and financial coaches that they have on there are vetted and top-notch. So we actually had the pleasure of hosting Brian Thorpe, the CEO and founder of Wealth Tender, on Average Joe Finance's podcast, episode 25. Go check out that episode, listen to his story, and listen to him talk about the database that he's building. It's really phenomenal stuff. So if you're interested in checking out the directory, or if you're a finance content creator and you're interested in joining up with the directory, go to the link below in the show notes or check out www.averagejoefinances.com/wealthtender. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mike Cav from Average Joe Finances. Just want to talk to you today about Prep Agent. If you're interested in learning how to become a real estate agent and being able to pass the test on your first try, check out Prep Agent. Check out the link below in the show notes or in the video description.
Let's get back to today's episode.
No crypto. I'm seeing somebody that's very into crypto, so I'm learning a little bit about that. But I haven't invested in myself, but I am looking to invest in some other businesses that are not, house flips or anything like that. So I'm currently working on something. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, right on. You're going to try your hand at being like an angel investor or something? And
yeah, I'm actually, so I have a plan to open a synthetic ice training facility. So my son plays hockey, and there's not a lot of ice in San Antonio because, this isn't really a hockey market, but there's literally one sheet of ice in this entire town. And so, when you need specialized training and stuff, there's really not a lot of space to do that, or ice time is really hard to get. It's very expensive. So I've been doing some research on the synthetic ice and found a warehouse and stuff like that. So yeah, that's something we're working on.
Awesome. Especially in where you live at in San Antonio and just anywhere in the southern US, that's probably a pretty good market for that, for anybody that's playing any, ice sports or anything like that, where they don't have too much access to it. So I live on Oahu, right? And I think we have one ice skating rink on the entire island. And it is so hard to try to get some time to get in there. I want to take my daughters out there because they used to love ice skating in Virginia.
Mhm.
And yeah, I definitely got to take a trip out there and get them out there. But yeah, so synthetic ice. So how, I want to talk about this a little bit, right? So this is something new that you want to go into. Have you already started, you said you already found a warehouse, or are you looking into getting a warehouse?
Yeah, we found a space, and now we're just getting the quotes for all the, like the ice itself, because it's pretty cool stuff. It's like a special plastic, but you can ice skate on it. It's really cool.
I saw it on Shark Tank, if that's the one you're talking about. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's called Glice is the one that we're looking at, because it's supposedly the best one. So it doesn't, when you skate on ice, you get that, when you, the little spray, ice that comes out all the time. Well, on the plastic, it'll do that too. So the cheaper ones, it wears really quickly. And then you have all the, like the dents or whatever, the dimples in the eyes or holes, whatever.
And you really, you can't go over those with a Zamboni to fix it. So
yeah.
And buff
that's
it
the
out.
great thing about the synthetic ice. You don't even have to have a Zamboni, but it's pretty cool stuff. You can actually skate on it. And then it lasts, I forget for how long. It's like 15 years or something like that. But then you can actually take it apart and flip it over and use it for another 15 years. So it's an investment. Initially, it's kind of a big investment, but when you think about like the long term of that, it's going to be really, we'll make the money back very quickly on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So is it 15 years, with several hockey teams and other people using it, or is it 15 years family use?
No, that's a big difference, because you can get like a lower quality one, I think, that you can put in your garage and stuff. People put it in their basements and whatnot. But no, this is like full on, like if you're using it like 8 or 9 hours a day with multiple skaters on it, 5 or 6 days a week kind of a thing.
Right on. So now, are you going to open this up? Is this strictly going to be for your like son's hockey team, or is this, you're going to open up like a public business where other people can come use it and, pay admission and everything and get some ice time?
Yeah. Some Glice time. Yeah. Our goal is to keep it. So it won't be a full sheet of ice like you would go to like an ice skating rink really, but it'll be good size, because it's really designed to be a training facility. So we really want to stay focused on just hockey players. So actually my son's a goalie. And so we're going to do a lot of goalie coaching from there, because they just can't get it's like hard to get goalie coaching to begin with. But then 2 is just to have that ice time is, critical. And then we do have a plan to open it up for skaters if they want to come have shooting practice or, stuff like that. And do some cool stuff like some video review. So if people want to video their training session and then have video review afterwards, and we're going to have a little lounge. We got some really cool things planned for it. Eventually we'll probably have a bigger facility, but this will be a good test to see, because, like you said, being on Oahu, and being in San Antonio, like we're such a military city. So we actually have people that come here from like many hockey market, from up north, and where people play a lot of hockey and they want to play, but they can't. And so I think this will be I think it'll be good for the community.
Yeah. Hockey was really popular where I grew up too. I grew up on Long Island, New York. So it was huge there, both roller hockey, ice hockey. It was just, very, very popular up north. So, and yeah, like you said, being in a military town like that, you're going to get a lot of those families that, from all over the country that, yeah. So now you got to this point where you're able to open up this facility, right? Which is different. Well, it's still, you're still buying real estate, right? To open up this warehouse, you're buying a piece of commercial property, but this is the type of freedom that the business you built with real estate has created for you, that you can, you see a need, for not only your son's hockey team, but, for multiple people there in San Antonio, and you can take action yourself to fill that need, because you've got the cash to do it because of what the business that you've built, in real estate. So that's just a testament to what you can do with investing in real estate. And you've been doing it since 2003, right? So 18 years now. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, so that's the other asset classes that you're investing in. I love it. That's fantastic. Are there any, like, I guess, last tips or tricks that you would recommend for somebody who is just looking to get started in real estate? Like they want to go get their first deal. They want to do their first wholesale or their first flip, or they want to buy their first rental property. What would you say to somebody like that?
I usually tell people, first educate yourself, but don't spend so much time in that space that you never take action, because that's something I see a lot. People, they educate, they join masterminds, or they buy these programs, and they're reading books and stuff, but they never actually do anything. They don't take the action. And I know that that's a scary thing. And they think, well, I got to know this before I do that. And like, you got to know everything. I will tell you right now, you're never going to know everything about real estate. I still don't. I'm still learning. This is one of those businesses where there's always something to learn, always. And so educate yourself, but definitely take action, and also find a coach or a mentor or somebody that can help you along the way. There is no reason to reinvent the wheel here. Like, there are so many people out there that, vet them for sure, and make sure, if you are going to work with a coach or a mentor, make sure that they are active investors, that they're doing the things that you want to do, that they know how to do them, that they got a proven track record, somebody that you can get to know, that you like them, that you trust them, that you connect with each other too is important. Again, to that relationship thing, it's got to be somebody that you feel comfortable working with. And there's a lot of different ways to structure that, but just know that you can't go to one of these people and just say, let me pick your brain, or help me, without giving something back. So be prepared to, when you approach somebody, if you are looking for coaching or mentoring, if it's not a paid thing, make sure that you are bringing something to the table. How can you help them? Do you know somebody that you can connect them with, possibly? Offer to do things, help them out in their business, is another good thing. Like, hey, I can go put out bandit signs for you, or, hey, I know a really great accountant. Let me hook you up with this person, just have the conversation. But it is a relationship that has to be built. Nobody's just going to let you pick their brain for free if they're good. If somebody's offering to coach or mentor you for nothing, would be very cautious about that. Because people that are doing this, that are charging for it, or that are, very good at what they do, they paid for that education. And, you can't expect it for them just to hand it to you for nothing.
Yeah. They either paid for it, with money, or they paid for it in lessons learned.
Exactly. And that's what I always tell people. You are paying for the benefit of their experience, so that you don't make the same mistakes, hopefully. But you're going to make mistakes, but that's where having that person in your back, is really helpful to know, like, okay, I think I'm making a mistake here. What would you do in this situation? And benefit from their knowledge that way.
Right on. Wow, Melissa. So many golden nuggets in that last question. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Again, like I said, I like to write things down. And, one of the things that you said that really sticks out to me, because I asked this question to many guests that come on, not everybody, but many guests. And a lot of times I hear the whole education, take action, but I never hear them put together the way that you said it, right? You need to educate yourself, but not get so lost in it that you never take action. That is huge, because I know several people, and I've done this myself a couple times too, where I'm just researching, educating myself on a certain thing. And by the time I go to take action, I miss the bus, or I miss the window on something. Like, there was actually a syndication I was trying to get into that by the time I was ready to go in and do it, and I had the cash, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to buy in, all the investors already, like, it was already full. So I missed the window on that. So that is huge. Educate yourself, but not to the point where you start to miss out on opportunities because you're failing to take action. So I love that. The other thing you talked about is coaching, right? And building that relationship. It's not always monetary when it comes to that relationship, but the key thing that you said there is, what do you bring to the table, right? And I hear this on so many other podcasts as well, where people are talking about how they got started and they said, yeah, I found a really great mentor. I found a really great coach. And I just approached them and said, hey, I offered to do this for them. and, I brought them deals, or I went and door knocked for them or whatever. And, providing that small service for them, they brought them in on their next deal, and they walked them through how they did it. So there's so many different ways that you could, build up these relationships. And I think one of the important things is you need to get involved in a local real estate meetup, get involved in a mastermind, or just surround yourself with people that are where you want to be. Right. And, in the type of niche that you want to be in. Right. I always surround myself with people who are way more involved in real estate than I am, or investing than I am. And I feel like when I surround myself with these people and I aspire to be that myself, it helps motivate me and push me there. So I think that's huge. That's phenomenal. So thank you so much for those golden nuggets of wisdom.
You're welcome. It's been really helpful for me. Like, I know I couldn't have gotten where I am without coaches and mentors. And I've had them my whole 18 years of doing this. So don't think just because you've been doing it for a long time that you're beyond needing a coach or a mentor, because, things change sometimes, right? Like, I hired a coach to help me start a coaching business. It depends on what you need as you move through life and through your real estate journey and do different things. You might have a coach that coaches you through single family, but maybe you want to make that jump to multifamily, find a coach that's doing that. So the coaching, the education should never end.
I love it. The education should never end. That is key. So speaking of the education never ending, or, people want to learn more about coaching services or anything like that, where can people find more information about you if they want to, know a little bit more about Melissa Johnson, who she is and what she does besides what we talked about today? Do you have a website or social media that you can share with our listeners?
Sure. Everything that you ever want to know about me is on my website. So it's themelissajohnson.com, the melissajohnson.com. And on there, you'll find an about me page. Just talks about me, shows some of the podcasts I've been on. I have a coaching page that talks about the different options that I offer for coaching. I also have all my social media links there. So you can check out Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I do a lot of free content on my social media platforms. So there's a lot of stuff there. And then I also have a free 5-day Change Your Business, Change Your Life challenge on that site. So you can join that. It's free. It's evergreen. So love for people to check that out too, if you're just looking for some help with kind of filling in some gaps in your business.
Awesome. And that's under your courses tab, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was checking that out last night. So that's really cool. So, all right, there you have it, folks. That's where you can find more information on Melissa Johnson and what she's about, what she's doing, and just, go listen to some of the other podcasts she's been on. I mean, I was listening to a bunch of them, especially the most recent one I listened to was the Bigger Pockets podcast last night, which was absolutely awesome. I still am super stoked to have you on the show today. It's been an absolute blast. Like I said, I like to write notes. I've got a whole page of notes here from stuff we've talked about. And as you say, it's just, I'm filling the bucket here, and it's been a blast. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.